I'm John Kaiser at the September Virtual Metals Investor Forum, conducting the backstage interview with Sonoro Gold Corp. Ken MacLeod, welcome to the backstage interview.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure talking to you in backstage.
So last year, you undertook a reverse circulation and core drilling program to delineate an open pitable resource at Cerro Caliche, and a core drilling program to assess the potential for the higher bonanza grades in the deeper boiling zone. By the end of the year, you had switched the drilling program to focus entirely on outlining a lower grade open pitable resource, which now forms the basis for your PEA. To what extent have you killed off the potential for Cerro Caliche to host high-grade zones that could be mined underground, such as is happening at the Mercedes mine next door?
It's an excellent question, and one that we have been addressing over the past 9 months of drilling. And the initial plan of action was to drill the shallow potential for the project, which we had estimated at somewhere between 75,000 and 100 million tons. And at the same time, investigate the potential for the deeper resource. Now, we drilled 3 core holes at the Japonesa zone, which were deeper. We went down to a total depth of, or a total length of hole of 300 meters approximately. And we didn't find the mineralization at depth. We gained a lot from the interpretation of the structure at depth, but Japonesas turned out to be more of a shallow resource, and all the way down to about 120, and in some cases down to 150 meters of potential depth for the resource there. Now, we chose at that point not to waste our money on at this stage in time on trying to develop a deeper resource in the other zones. And we have a grand total of about 20 or 22 zones on the property. And so there's a wealth of potential zones to be able to drill deeper in the future. But for the moment, we decided to focus strictly on developing the shallow oxide, open pitable, heap leachable resource. And that has been very, very successful for us. But as far as killing off the potential for deeper, we have certainly not killed it off. We're getting high grades in various zones, Buena Suerte, in Colorado zone, Cabeza Blanca. And so that stands to reason that at some point we will be drilling deeper, but at this moment in time, we don't know enough about the potential at depth. And so we are not going to take a risk yet in proceeding deeper at this juncture.
In your presentation, you indicated that you would resume exploration drilling to the south of the area targeted for open pit mining by the PEA as part of your goal to double the resource and pass the 1 million ounce threshold. What about the El Rincon to Veta de Oro trend to the northeast, which received quite a few core holes? What sort of grade tonnage potential do you see in this part of Cerro Caliche?
Well, we believe that the El Rincon, Beatoso, and Veta de Oro zones to the north have the potential to host a similar kind of resource to the main area, the central area of Japonesas, Buena Suerte, Cabeza Blanca, and Colorado. And so the issue right now is not a question of whether there is a resource there. We have started developing a resource already, but the drilling pattern is not tight enough to be able to quantify as large a resource as is in the central area. But with infill drilling and expansion drilling and drilling on along strike to the north of the Rincon zone and to the northeast, where we see potential for major expansion into the northeast, the high plateau in that area, and into the rhyolite zone to the northeast as well. We feel that there's a tremendous potential to increase the mineralization in that zone, and we believe it will match the central zone for grade and for tonnage as well.
Mm-hmm. Good. The timeline in your presentation indicates that you plan to go directly from PEA to permitting, funding, and construction over the next 12 months. I have a couple of questions about the timeline. First, how is it possible to get a 15,000 ton per day open pit mine permitted in less than 6 months? And second, how do you propose to raise 32 million US to fund CapEx that does not involve equity dilution at the current stock price?
Okay, I'll answer the first question initially, and that is regarding the timing of the approval for the environmental permit. We believe that based upon the letter of the law, the regulatory authorities at SEMARNAT have to respond within 90 calendar days to your initial submission. Then you have 90 days to respond, and then they have another 90 days following that to provide their response to your resubmission. So theoretically, it could be done within a period of 90 to, let's say, 120 days. The recent history suggests that they are taking longer because of the fact that they're understaffed and there's not a lot of funding in the department to be able to enable the files to flow through efficiently. However, we believe that because of the fact that there are no showstoppers that we can identify with respect to permitting, several factors. We're in a disturbed area. There's a producing mine right next door to us. There are no ejidos in the area. We're dealing with one rancher who's very complementary to our operation. We have no environmental issues of plants or animals or water issues related to the project. So we believe that our application will have a minimal amount of pushback from the SEMARNAT authorities so we believe that we have an ability to have the permit through. Is it going to be in 6 months? That is what is I would classify as a very, very fast turnaround. But my outside potential from dealing with our folks in Mexico is it could be 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
And then the other question regarding the financing for the project, we are in discussions with numerous financiers. And we are looking at various innovative ways of getting the project financed with the least amount of dilution. And this is the one important thing that I want to emphasize. We are focused on minimizing the dilution. So we're looking at financiers that can provide EPC contract, for example. So they provide the engineering, the construction, they supply the equipment, and they provide the funding to get all of that done at the same time. So that's one example. Another example is we're looking at various ways of funding it through royalty structures and the takeout of the gold at the end of the day. So there are numerous ways, and we have 8 confidentiality agreements present at this point in time with financiers. And so we are intent on defining the potential for getting this financing done with the least amount of dilution. And as far as the equity component is concerned, we want to keep that to an absolute minimum.
The market cut your stock price by 1/3 after you published the PEA, even though it cleared key development hurdles such as after-tax NPV greater than CapEx and an IRR above 15%. What appear to have been the main reasons for this negative market reaction, and why do you believe it is an overreaction?
Well, I truly believe it's an overreaction because the economics are sound from the point of view of having an IRR that is well over 30%. Suggests to me that we're well within line with in relationship to other mining projects around the world. And so I believe that it was a perfect storm that hit us on that particular day. First of all, the stock had to be halted in order for the news to be disseminated, and that caused some people to get a little jittery. And as soon as the stock came back to trade, they felt, okay, we're going to sell. And when the selling came, it was a market orders and we're talking about, I don't believe it was a widespread or a wholesale selling strategy by all the shareholders in the company. I believe it was a very small group of investors who had significant positions and decided that the capital cost was too high according to their way of thinking, and that okay, the capital costs have been amortized over a very short period of time, which is a 7-year mine life currently. But of course, our intention is to keep on drilling to extend that mine life. But then once the selling started in earnest, it created its own momentum and pulled the stock down to having it lose a third of its value, essentially in one day. Since then, it has stabilized. So it suggests to me that the main sellers that were out there that created this chaos in the market are now gone. And because we've had an equally positive response from other major shareholders and major investors and major financiers that have been looking at the company, and they consider it to be an opportunity now to come in at this lower price. So I believe that we've now created a balance in the market, and obviously we're going to have to put our shoulder to the wheel to start regaining the confidence of the people who may have sold or who may be on the sidelines. But I believe that over time, we will be able to demonstrate the validity and the value of the project. And simply because it's too compelling to ignore when you look at the potential that has been posed within the PEA, where the NPV is in the order of $42 million US, which is about $54 million Canadian. And we're sitting here today with a market capitalization of just over $20 million. I think there's room for an investor to see the potential value that will be gained over the next year or two.
Okay, Sonoro has a strong technical team, partly based in Mexico. Assuming you get your permit within 6 to 9 months and CapEx financing on reasonable terms, and put Cerro Caliche into production successfully, would management prefer a buyout offer from an established gold producer such as Argonaut, or to turn the cash flow into a stepping stone to acquire and develop similar deposits in Mexico and turn Sonoro Gold into a multi-mine producer?
Our objective has been for the past 3 years since we acquired Cerro Caliche was to build it up into a large-scale mining project on its own merit, based on its own merits, generate cash flow at the earliest opportunity, hence the reason why we are looking at raising the capital to build a mine now. The eventual focus will be on developing a solid medium-sized company with several projects over the coming years. We have the technical team to be able to enable us to grow organically. We have another project called San Marcial that we will be working on drilling next year. And we also have additional projects that could be brought to bear into the company over time. Now, along the way, obviously, if a mining company, medium stature or larger stature, came to us and said, would you be interested, or we'd like to offer you a takeover bid or an amalgamation or whatever the case may be, we would certainly consider it. We are not averse to having the company acquired, because at the end of the day, what we want to achieve for the shareholders to get the best possible return for the investment that our shareholders and the trust they put into us. And so we're not intent on holding the company close to our chest. We want to make sure that building the company up as a standalone, small to intermediate sized mining company, if that is the best return for the investors, we will follow that. But if we are offered a reasonable opportunity to be acquired over time, we will certainly take a look at that as well and present it to the shareholders.
All right. Well, thank you, Ken. And this concludes the backstage interview with Sonoro Gold Corp.